Welcome to the Alchemist Nation podcast. We are a community of business and real estate professionals who are on a shared mission to help every individual achieve financial freedom through right action, the right knowledge, and the right accountability. Join me, Andrew McMurray, and my co-host, Mitch Jaworski, as we find and interview those who have mastered wealth and who have a desire to share their wisdom with you. Enjoy.
Welcome once again to the Alchemist Nation podcast. We have another awesome episode for you. I am your host, Mitch Jaworski, also known as the Scaredy Cat Guide, and I'm here with my co-host, Andrew McMurray. Andrew, how you doing today?
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Mitch.
Love it. Love it. So today's going to be fun because we have the legendary Dug McGuirk with us. And Doug is not only a real estate investor, but he is the master of the mindset. And he learned from the master as he was a Tony Robbins disciple and spent 4 years traveling the world coaching at Tony's events. And took that knowledge into many other awesome careers. But with that, got into real estate because just like us, realized the power of real estate. So Doug's also the author of the book Under Construction, which is a book that was catered to when he was working in the substance abuse field, helping people with their mindset there to essentially grow and get past these, issues and be able to build a better life, just like we do in Alchemist Nation with mindset and, through investment mainly. So Doug, it's awesome to have you. And we're looking forward to hearing everything that you do. And also about, really your conduit to doing a lot of this mindset teaching with, I know you, Revolutionary Growth is your main company where you guys are doing this. So tell us just, more about how you got to where you are and just, what you really enjoy about impacting people's mindset so they can do better.
All right. Well, thank you for all the intro, Mitch and Andrew. So awesome to be here, of course. So great story. Started out, I was born, and then I started to walk. And no,
Me
seriously,
too.
Yes, we're all part of the same family. Love it when a plan comes together. So the high level thing, I don't know if you can relate to this. Growing up, we're all like just wanting to enjoy life and add value and be loved and accepted and do things that are having value, for lack of a better word. And sometimes we are able to recognize that it was successful by the way it's received, and are we getting attention and so forth. And what I found growing up is that I love people. I love bringing value and having fun while doing it, enjoying the process, and always looking like, how can I add more value? It's a silly story. I remember I think we were probably like, maybe I was 10, 11 years old, and we were out to dinner one night. I don't know why it was a holiday, and we were out, and I remember seeing a man eating by himself. And I go to my parents. I'm like, oh, this poor guy. It's like a holiday, whatever it was, Christmas or Thanksgiving. And I was like, the poor guy's eating by himself. Like, we should invite him over to come sit with us. And they're like, okay, go ahead, go invite him. So I walked over and I invited him to come eat with us. And he was like, F you. No, he didn't say. He was like, he didn't accept, but it's always been in my nature to want to be sure that there's a value add in the situation, that I leave wherever environment I'm in better off than when I came. And I was always into music, so I'm going to be a high level. So early in my career, in my life, I got into music. I went to one day of college and realized that college was not for me, and I was going to pursue my career in the music industry. And I did so. And I started out as an intern, and I worked my way up to staff producer. And we were winning Grammys with Celine Dion and J-Lo and the Chicago movie soundtrack and all that great stuff. And I was the rock guy, so I was doing all the rock records and had a deal on A&M and, all that great stuff. But the peak of my career was when Napster came out. So here we are looking at, if you just look at what we're doing right now, imagine 20 some odd years ago, doing a video and audio production the way we're doing it right now, and how easily we're able to, it was unheard of. So I didn't really get into the technology the way I maybe could have, but I looked at it, I was like, why do I do music in the first place? And it was really to add value. It was, I'd go out on the road and I'd perform, and we'd have a show. I got to travel. I got to do all these great things. I got to connect with people and really connect with them through the music and through the experience. And then before and after the show, and then in the studio, when I would work from a production standpoint and a mixing standpoint and engineering, I was able to connect to the artist and then help them realize their vision. And then it goes out into the real world, and then it would connect with the audience and everyone would love it. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I love doing. And when I went to reinvent, I realized, okay, I'm gonna have to figure this out. Now, I did get into Tony at a young age. My success in music was because I applied and listened to Personal Power, Tony's original product, 30 Days to Personal Power. And I applied it, and that's what made me successful in the music industry, without getting into the whole environment, other than to say this: being at events and going to seminars and that in that vibe, that environment, going to RIAs, going to whatever, or anywhere where you're around people and you're connecting with people, is the game changer. Because I went to a Tony Robbins event, and then I was like, holy crap, this is better than a concert. This is better. So basically, people are leaving better off than when they got there. And I was like, and I'd already gotten into Tony. I was already practicing NLP and using it in my production. And I was coaching and speaking at music conferences. And then that's where that's it. This is where I'm going to really dedicate my time. So because I was at an event, and, you may or may not be listening to this, aware of events coming up. There might be one through Alchemist Nation that you could know about. But the point being is that if there is, take advantage of it. Go to as many events, seminars, trainings, meetings as possible, because during those meetings, during those connection opportunities, you're going to learn what the people who are getting results are doing. You'll be able to model them. You'll be able to do deals with them. You'll be able to bring resources to that environment and really have this amazing experience. So by doing that, I was able to get into a group called the Power Team, where we got together when I was living in New York, and we would get together once a month and just celebrate and resource share and, go to other events and learn about other speakers and all that. And then by doing that, I found out about the opportunity with Tony. Long story short, got the gig with Tony as a national trainer and speaker. So I traveled the country as a speaker, trainer, and coach in that environment. And I was able to travel the country. And it was one of the things we spoke to, one of the places we spoke at a lot were RIAs, real estate investment associations, and at real estate offices, mortgage brokers, insurance, like people who were entrepreneurial. Not all real estate agents and mortgage guys or girls, whatever, mortgage people, insurance, all of that. Sometimes they don't necessarily recognize their opportunities as their own business, as they're an entrepreneur, that they're really in a joint venture with wherever they're hanging their license. I digress. So we would go and bring in that personal development into that space. So it was so gratifying to help people take their business and blow it up. Or funny story, I'll tell you, a friend of mine had a real estate agency in Manhattan, and he was a Tony person, and he started his career applying Tony stuff. And when I was working with Tony at the time, I was like, hey, Nick, can I come speak at your office and enroll people into this program? And he goes, no, you can't. I'm like, why? Why not? He's like, because every time you guys come in here, what happens is my agents, they all quit and they go start their own businesses, or they go out and they do a thing, and like it actually doesn't work for me. I got to
employees to be employees.
Right. So and I share that, of course, while it's a true story and it's also, there's some humor in it, is how important our mindset is, and how important it is that we connect with other people and put ourselves in the right environment so that we can add more value and grow, connect more deeply, right? Business is a spiritual and inter and intrapersonal relationship, deep connection based experience. And the opportunities I had working with Tony also gave me the gift to then, Mitch, as you shared earlier, I got recruited to bring the personal and professional development to the drug and alcohol treatment space. So Heidi, my now wife, and I, at the time when we started the treatment center, we were just engaged. We ran the treatment center for about 8 years, and we ran it clinically. I ran the marketing, leadership. So we were in all aspects of that. We created the family program. And the reason why I share that is what we found is drugs and alcohol aren't the problem. They're the solution. And I touch it in that book that you mentioned, Mitch, Under Construction, Navigating the Detours on the Road to Recovery. But what was interesting is that if drugs and alcohol aren't the problem, they've been the solution. Well, really what our experience is really about our connection and our relationship with, first, what our emotions are, what that emotional fuel is, and then how do we cope with it? How do we deal with it, right? So in what has been so gratifying now that I've been in the, back with normies and people who are dealing in growing their businesses and so forth, we all have the same challenges and opportunities for growth. We all could get, so as an example, fear, right? Mitch, your brand, the Scaredy Cat. That Scaredy Cat, what is Scaredy Cat? What does that mean?
Basically means, at least for this specifically, it's about people that are, risk adverse when it comes to investing, scared to pull the trigger when it comes to investing. Right.
So that's a non-resourceful fuel. That's a fear.
Yep.
And when we act out of fear, we rarely get the results that we are searching for. So what's great about what you provide, the Scaredy Cat guide, is for the people who relate to, I'm nervous, I'm scared, I don't know what to do. And you give them the opportunity to get more confident and be able to get educated and learn what the next steps are, which is why being in environments, like if you're listening to Alchemist Nation, you are obviously someone who's looking to up-level your life. You're looking to live a life more confidently, more powerfully, more abundantly. And these are all emotions. These are all the fuel that you and I are looking to take our lives to that next level so that we can experience even more. So the more confidence we have, the more deals we'll be able to go out and do, which will then bring us more abundance, which will then reinforce, and as we get these deals done, that we can do it, and we keep that process going. And at the end of the day, man, if we can help people access that to create that love, right? Because at the end of the day, people want to earn more money, they want to be successful, but really why? Like if you go back and look at every great movie, why? Like, what is it really going on? Why are they doing it? Why does the guy go out there and do all that crazy stuff, take those risks, go out and try and earn all that money and do all that? Why are they doing it? To get, well, right. And then when they have the glory, what do they get?
They feel good.
They feel good and they get the girl. They get the relationship.
Love and
they get
admiration.
the love. They get the love. They get that, whether it's a girl, the guy, whatever, it's not about that. It's just they're doing it because they want the love. So they're thinking, if I make a bunch of money, people are going to love me. And then I'll get into the relationship that I want to experience. So that's where that amazing balance is, that holistic balance is understanding our relationship, our connection to that experience, and to what are the strategies, what are the ways you and I are going out there and creating that. Because the truth is, we don't need to wait. We don't need to wait to earn the money to have the relationship. Some people do that and they regret it. Some people just focus on the relationship and then they don't get the money because they're only focused on that. So when we can find that balance and recognize we are holistic, and ultimately it's like, if we really get, I know it's a short podcast. So when you come to the event, when you dig in deeper with all of us and you get
so speaking of that, every year Alchemist Nation has the 100 Millionaires Summit, and for 2023, that's happening the first weekend of November, and we will be blessed with Doug's presence, and he's a big part of it because these principles and kind of that right mindset is integral to, building success and essentially getting that wheel turning that, kind of he's talking about. And it really is a momentum thing. So Doug, like when it comes to the 100 Millionaire Summit, right? First of all, awesome that you come and speak, but you talked about earlier how, you just love adding value, right? Which, I mean, we're kind of cut from the same cloth with that. That's why, like, people call me the super connector, and I'm like, no, Doug's the super connector.
We both are.
I'm just living in his connector shadow. But anyway, when it comes to like the 100 Millionaire Summit, and the various presentations that you do, like what's some of the things that you hope people take away from it? And then really like, what's, your driving goal, so to speak, when you're speaking at that, because I'm sure you do have some kind of desire for what people end up taking away.
So the ultimate goal is, you remember the Blues Brothers?
Well, I do. Andrew might not know who we're talking about.
I'm aware.
You're aware
on a
of
mission from God.
Yes, I'm on a mission from God. All right. And by the way, Andrew, did you know that there was a time when if you had to make a phone call, you had to if you were driving, you had to pull over and put money in a machine that would then let you make a call? Did you know that?
Oh, that's crazy. That's
and
another
those are the easy times because you just got to push the buttons as opposed to we had to do the ding. I messed up. I got to start over.
So wait, you had to know actual phone numbers?
You have to actually know the phone number.
Yes.
Indeed.
That's crazy.
Yep.
I used to know a lot.
So excuse me. So yes, my purpose is really servant leadership, honoring God, honoring our maker, that we are here to continue to add value to each other, to provide opportunities. And real estate is a fantastic way. As an investor myself, I love the fact that can also provide a nice home for somebody, some stability, right? And everybody wins. So when I'm presenting and when I'm there in whether, whatever stage that is, whether it's here or, in person, live, with a group, the goal is how can we connect? There's multiple connections, right? First, how can we connect to ourselves? How can we access our true nature, like that, the genius within, the deep motivation, that connection to our hopes, our dreams, our abundant connection to that lifestyle. And then as we're looking at connecting to our partners, whether it be our intimate partners or our business intimate partners, how can we enhance those relationships? Because all boats rise and fall with the tide. So if I'm helping create an environment that people can start by accessing their fuel, start by accessing their true nature, their true genius, then if everyone in the room is doing that, then they start connecting more effectively. Now genius starts happening within the room and people go, oh, wow, great idea. We start really flowing the momentum that you were sharing earlier, right? We get that momentum going. Now, wow, what if we could, and one of the things, Walter shares about this is about like a community, right? So when you talk about Fall River, he can enhance that community. And now if I'm part of this mechanism that now creates other pockets of communities that are adding value to each other, fueling the momentum, adding value both emotionally, financially, and then ultimately spiritually, now I'm on a mission from God. Now my work transcends the inner. It then moves into the outer, and then it moves into the other, whatever language that is. And that's the psychoremuneration that I experience. I remember, we do a modified version of the Dickens process at the summit. And when I first did that with Tony, the breakthrough that I had was like, oh my gosh, like if I'm created in God's image, whatever that means to anybody, I think everyone's heard that term. Man, I'm dishonoring God by playing small. I'm dishonoring God by not honoring everybody's journey and doing whatever I can to bring that value, to be a conduit of connection, of love, of growth, of abundance, and show what's possible by leading by example, and being so blessed with an amazing family, with Heidi, my wife, and whom you'll see at the event. She's of course going to be there speaking and adding tons of value there on multiple levels. Ellie is even preparing a talk. So like we're going to have our little trifecta there, and doing what we can to show what's possible, to lead by example, and to add as much value as humanly possible in that environment.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to that little extra bonus.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a question for you, Doug. Clearly you're very driven by growth, contribution, adding value, which makes sense, especially if you're involved with Tony Robbins from day one. But do you have an image of like, is it just being present and adding value in the present moment for you? Or do you have like an image of like the value you want to leave this world with? Like you said, leaving a place better than how you found it.
Yeah.
What does that look like for you?
The honor of just leading by example, I'm a follower of Christ. So, I'm a little bit of, Davy and Goliath. Well, what would Jesus do? So the legacy is the things like this, like all these recordings, our books, our seminars, our trainings, our ability to train others to be leaders so that we're equipping them with the skills necessary to do the same, to be their best version of themselves, to connect to their highest power, their deepest calling, to live boldly, fearlessly, faithfully in what is going to be their spiritual gift. Like I'm not here. I know that I'm just one of billions of people who are showing up every day doing what I can. If my conscious actions and some of my other than conscious actions will add value and inspire, touch, or move others to do the same, that's what my ideal legacy will be, is that, oh man, that was, because of this interaction, I was able to access even more of my true potential, even access my calling, and live as abundantly, as lovingly, as creatively as possible, as my creator has created me to do so.
That's beautiful. So you get to more or less stay present, and then the legacy is kind of just what is left behind, like what flows through.
And of course, there will be finances and all of that. That's part of it. But the finances, and I truly believe, at least ecologically, that the financial success follows the spiritual success. I'm not of the mindset as like, oh, once I lose the weight, then I'll start eating well. Once I make the money, then I'll start feeling successful. Then I'll start contributing. It's the other way around. So
you have to become the thing before
right.
you actually have, it's just like, it's, you see it in books like Atomic Habits and things like that. It's like, if you're going to be a fit person, then you need to do the things and a fit person does. And that starts with, that doesn't start, it's not once I get fit, I'll do these things. It's like, no, this is the lifestyle I live now. And by living that lifestyle, you're going to get that result that you want, and you're going to be that fit person.
And so here's what's interesting, and this is the dance, right? Because we also have a conversation around motivation, right? Sometimes in order for you and I to get the results, we're going to have to do things at times we don't necessarily want to do. We may not feel like going to the gym. We may not feel like,
100%
making that contribution or taking that call or whatever that is. So what we connect to, right, that is the internal certainty, confidence, the faith, the understanding that we're bigger than any challenge or problem we could have. And then we can take those actions with that discipline necessary to get those results.
Indeed.
So presence, ultimately, look, I do, for those of you I've done it, the glass walk. The glass walk is an exercise in presence, right? We do the glass walk. We walk on broken glass with our bare feet to really represent ourselves to presence. Because if we're not aware of what's going on with our feet, we could take a step and then cut ourselves. So same is true with a deal. Like you're like, okay, let me just be present right here, not act, right? How many deals have, so some scaredy cat would be the opposite. They would not miss deal. They would not take deals because they were being too present to fear as opposed to present to opportunity. And then there are other people who will take outlandish jumps being present to the hype, not the reality. So presence is the best skill that we can tap into so that we can use our intuition. We can use that, all the tools available to us. We can hear the tap maybe that God gives us, or when we're asking one of our mentors or people, we'll say, hey, what do you think? And look, we're all guilty of it. I've done it myself, where I knew that I was going to get a don't do it from my people, and whether it be God or otherwise, and I didn't bring it up and did it, and then paid the price.
Yep, that's awesome. I mean, because obviously we think about the power of presence, and a lot of times that's more so just in terms of like emotional state, and it's kind of like the saying, like, if you're feeling anxiety, you're living in the future. If you're feeling depression, you're living in the past.
Mm-hmm.
The whole power of now, obviously very popular book, but I like this other aspect of it, because like by being present, you're also focused on what's at hand and performing better at that. I've done the glass walk, obviously, at events that you've led, and yeah, you're not thinking about anything else at that moment. You're focused on walking on that glass, and only like any other worry you had in the world is gone. Like you're focused on one thing.
Right. And you also, if you remember, you also have an angel next to you, right? So you have someone who's there to support. If you need, let me just grab on. Like I need a little, like just little guidance here. Right. And we forget that sometimes as well. That's part of the other than conscious lesson in there.
I love that you added that, because honestly, I didn't really, kind of connect it, but it's 100% true. And that's, essentially leaning on, your quote unquote network, or leaning on your friends and family. And this is why, relationships are at the end of the day, the most important thing. You can have as much money in the world as you want, but if you have no good relationships, you're going to be miserable. And I think this goes back to what you're talking about, even with like, getting in the room back in the day, like at the first Tony Robbins event, you're in a room of people that, kind of not only like-minded, but like similar direction, similar goal. And, that might be probably one, if not, many things you get from being part of Alchemist Nation. And if, that's the thing, that's fine. But like, that's what we always like to ask any of our guests that, are kind of intertwined in the texture of Alchemist Nation. What has being part of the Alchemist Nation community kind of like, done for you? Or you've even been able to do for others? Like,
so the first thing is connection, right? So it's creating relationships, the tapestry of people that are in the community, all wide and varied, all people who have a heart for each other, that are here to add value while succeeding at the same time, right? The model is that you could have it all. You could have your relationships, your physical health, and your financial health, and your spiritual health, and all of that. While it's not explicit, it's implicit. While Heidi and I, our main focus is all of that, there is that implicit underneath there, right? I mean, Walter and Dorina are a model of that. And we have, and there's no shortage of love in the room, right? Everybody is loving on each other. Everybody's doing what they can to support each other through resource shares, through opportunities that may present themselves. Like, oh, here's an investment opportunity, and the culture, the community is ripe with those opportunities. Being part of, obviously with you guys, I mean, we've gotten a lot closer because we are able to have these experiences. And while Mitch, you and I live closer, than some of, everybody else within the organization, when we get to these environments, it's like we pick up where we left off. It's like that friend, the old friend.
Absolutely.
It's like you keep that connection. And the more of these things that occur, the more the masterminds and the other communications, the deeper those relationships become.
100%. And that's what's great about these events is not only like, the ability to network, the ability to, expand, my connections, my mindset, but also that ability just to catch up, and see, people that have become friends that, we're all so busy that it's great that, we can have a arena that essentially is an opportunity to help grow others, but also an opportunity for us to spend time together.
Yeah. And celebrate the successes, right? When we're seeing someone do well, it's like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. And it's inspiring. And the environment is set up for that inspiration. And we have seen elsewhere, sometimes people see someone succeeding and they're like, oh, screw them. What did they do? What did they steal? What did they they
just got lucky.
They just got lucky. Whatever it is, there's this uneasiness, this not celebratory energy. Whereas the more we celebrate each other's successes, the more we prime our pumps for our own success, because we're then going, oh, this is great. We get inspired. And then the people like, oh, this is great. Like, hey, I got another deal coming up. Sorry, I forgot to ask you on this one, or you weren't able to do that one. Now you do have, you have some more cash, or you have more opportunity, or you have whatever it is. Maybe you're just ready, right? Because that's the other thing. There are people at different stages throughout the community. That's what's so great about joining any community, and Alchemist Nation is fantastic, because there are people who are just starting out and like, oh, what do I do? There are people who are seasoned that are like, okay, yeah, I'm doing great, and I want to grow. I want to learn something new, right? So while you have that great success in real estate, Mitch, you also bring in the crypto thing where people are like, oh, wow, what is that? How do we do that? Where can we, where can we leverage other resources? Money? Yeah. So that's what's so powerful about an environment like this. And then you guys like Vinny, right, who are just crushing it, and they're on a, as far as the scale that they're playing, are playing on a different level. And what's great is there's no judgment within any of them. Everybody's looking to help everybody, because the other thing is, and it's just my belief, is everybody has something to bring to the table.
Yes. And
unfortunately, sometimes people are only looking at one thing. Oh, Vinny's got all these hotels and he's doing these, $1 million deals and all this. What have I got to offer? Oh, what am I going to be able to bring? And the truth is, you have something to bring. Vinny is good at that. He's fantastic at it, and he's a great person. I'm not knocking anybody. It's just that we all have something to add to somebody else, and to deprive that gift because you're judging yourself in comparison to somebody else would be a disservice. And the environment is just showing where everybody is so giving, so open, so willing to participate and add the value and receive it.
100%. Yeah. I mean, Doug, it's always a pleasure. We can go on forever, but
yeah, sorry, I went on.
What's the best way for people to get in touch with Dug McGuirk?
So I guess, the social stuff is a way to go. It's Doug.
Obviously, they can find you on Alchemist Nation.
Of course, yeah.
But also, where else? Revolutionary Growth, or?
Oh, yeah, you go to revolutionarygrowth.com. You can go to, Facebook. I believe it's Revolutionary Growth. We might change it again. Revolutionary Growth with Doug and Heidi.
Yes, and I know you have, obviously, even on top of all the work you guys do, you also have guided meditations. So
and that should be in the in Alchemist Nation. But if you go to
correct,
Mindset Maximizer, there's an anxiety buster, and then I forgot the name of the other one, but I did one an intro to the real estate. But there is, you could gain access to the real estate and entrepreneurial program in Alchemist Nation, and that's currently 13 different guided meditations, and they'll ultimately probably be about 17 in there, and then continue to grow, that cover all aspects of being an entrepreneur and real estate investor / agent / but basically entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Well, Doug, always
person.
appreciate it. And it was great to spend some time. And I look forward to when we get to do it again. And yeah, hopefully it's before
Amen.
the summit. But if not,
I believe
November
it will. We got plenty of
3rd to the
time.
5th,
Yeah.
2023, 100 Millionaire Summit. Be there so you can have Doug blow your mind.
And Heidi and Ellie
That's
and
right.
all the speakers. It's going to be
Everybody.
spectacular. Everyone's going to
Yeah,
crush
it's going to
it.
be great. It's just great being
Yeah.
in that room full of, hundreds of people that just have, like you said, that abundance mindset, and everyone's looking to help each other. So cool. Good stuff.
Right
Once again,
on.
thanks for being with us, and thanks everyone for listening.
You got it. I love you, brother.